Once upon a time, in a quiet forest, there lived a young fox named Felix. I know him well, for I have been with him all his life, though he never truly recognized my presence. You see, I am his protector, the one who watches over him, guards him from harm, and keeps him safe from the dangers of the world. Felix doesn't realize it, but I am the reason he's always cautious, always on alert. I am the part of him that makes sure he doesn't get hurt, the part that keeps him in check when his emotions get too strong. I am his shadow. Felix often felt troubled, though he couldn't quite understand why. He felt something dark and heavy following him everywhere, something that made him uneasy and scared. But he didn't know that it was me, his shadow, always there, always vigilant. He thought it was something to fear, something to run from, but in reality I was just trying to keep hidden the things he didn't want to face. His fears, his jealousy, his anger. One day Felix met a wise old owl named Gustavus. I didn't like Gustavus. He had a way of seeing things others couldn't, and I knew he would be trouble. Gustavus understood hearts and minds in ways that made him dangerous to someone like me. When Felix, in desperation, asked Gustavus for help, I felt a flicker of unease. What if Gustavus turned Felix against me? What if Felix no longer needed my protection? Gustavus hooted softly, comforting Felix as he led him to a peaceful spot by the river. The water reflected the sky like a mirror, but Felix still couldn't see me. He wasn't ready. Gustavus, with his calm wisdom, created a space where Felix felt safe to talk, to open up in ways he never had before. As Felix began to speak about his feelings, jealousy when others did better, anger when things didn't go his way, I felt a tremor of recognition. These were the very things I had been guarding him against, keeping locked away so they wouldn't overwhelm him. But Gustavus was patient and persistent. He listened carefully, helping Felix uncover the parts of himself he had hidden away, the parts I had been holding on to for him. These feelings have been following you because they've been left in the dark for so long, Gustavus said, his words piercing through the fog that had kept Felix from seeing the truth. Let's bring them into the light together. Gustavus asked questions that made Felix think back. Remember how, as a young fox, he had always felt smaller, weaker, less worthy than his siblings. Felix admitted that he had always felt like he wasn't as good as the others. And with each admission, I felt myself weakening, no longer the strong guardian I had once been. By understanding where these feelings come from, Gustavus said, you can begin the process of integrating them into your conscious self. They're not something to fear but to understand, like a forgotten part of your own story. Gustavus wanted me to become a friend to Felix, but I had been his protector, his guardian, holding all the things he couldn't handle, keeping them hidden so he could go on pretending. I wasn't ready to be tamed, to be transformed into something harmless. But over the next few days, Gustavus showed Felix how to be gentle with himself. He taught Felix to accept his feelings without judgment, to see the strength in his own unique qualities. I felt Felix's resistance fading. He began to see that these parts of himself, parts I had been holding, weren't flaws but important pieces of who he was. As Felix practiced this new way of thinking, I felt myself changing. He became more aware of how he reacted to challenges, choosing responses that reflected his true nature, rather than lashing out in fear or anger. By embracing these once hidden parts of himself, Felix found a new kind of peace, a confidence I had never seen in him before. Gustavus encouraged him to set goals that aligned with his authentic self, to take steps that reflected his real values. And then, one day, as Felix walked by the river, he looked at his reflection and finally saw me. not as something to be feared, but as a gentle part of who he was. I had become something different, something softer. Felix smiled, and for the first time I felt proud, not of my power to protect or control, but of the journey we had taken together. He had come to appreciate all parts of himself, even me. Felix realized that I wasn't just a guardian, but a vital part of his journey to becoming a whole and integrated self. With Gustavus's guidance, he became the true, complete version of who he was meant to be. I was no longer just the unseen protector, but a friend, a reminder of the lessons we had learned together. From then on, Felix lived happily in the forest, not just as a lucky fox, but as a wise one who had learned to embrace all parts of himself, including me, his once hidden protector. And Gustavus, the wise owl, watched over him with pride, knowing that Felix had truly found his way. And as for me, I no longer needed to hide in the corners of his heart. I was part of Felix, and together we were whole.